Chris Arnold here. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to my YouTube. And this is actually a special video because those that subscribe to YouTube each week will get a video specifically for this YouTube channel. So you actually cannot check it out on the podcast. It's just for you guys. If you're tuning in the first time, definitely subscribe as we'll continue to provide great content for you. So I want to talk about something more on the leadership side, something I think that's really important right now, and it's this concept of burnout. When things get really challenging at the level they are right now, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, the pressure begins to hit even at a higher level. We start to move into a place of burnout, but we've heard that word. What I want to talk today is about a concept that I actually got from my coach, Terry Walling. I won't forget the time that I was sitting with him and he said, Chris, you're at a place of burnout, but let me ask you this question. Did you realize that there are 4 levels of burnout? And I said, Terry, 4 levels? He said, this is a great filter for you to be able to process through where you're at in the stages of burnout so you know what type of response you need to take based on where you're at. So level 1 is exhaustion. I can push through. That's level 1 burnout. There's nothing really big about being at that level because we just kind of put our head down and we grind. Level 2 is I am exhausted, but I'm starting to drop balls. I'm starting to drop and break plates. And so this obviously begins to happen at a level 2 burnout where you're just missing the mark. You're beginning to make mistakes. And so again, time to be really cautious, but this gives you a place to measure that. Level 3 burnout is I'm getting exhausted and I'm actually starting to feel it physically. I'm not sleeping. I'm getting exhausted to a point that I'm losing appetite. You start to feel it physically in your body. If you've not been there and you're a new entrepreneur, trust me, that's a tough place to be when the stress and the pressure gets so high that you begin to feel it in your body. And level 4 is what's called shutdown. That's literally a place where your body, mind, emotions go, I've had enough, and you literally shut down. A lot of times this can look like just fundamentally collapsing, going to sleep, and not getting out of bed for a couple of days. That's shutdown. So I share this with you because I think it is such an important filter for you to be able to gauge yourself and understand where you're at in the stress level right now, because the reality is things have definitely gotten tough. The stress is at an all-time high. And so I believe right now, as a leader, one of the most important things is for us to be very self-aware of ourselves and where we're at in the process of handling the stress. Now, when it comes to burnout, let me tell you this. You can only back out of burnout. Let me say that again. You can only back out of burnout. You don't go from a level 3 and just jump to a level 1. You slowly have to do some things, obviously, to back your way out of that type of stress level and get to a place, obviously, that's sustainable, to a place where you're thinking clearly and that you can be the leader and entrepreneur in your business that you need to be. And so I want to talk about a few things, 3 things that I believe that needs to be in all of our calendars on a weekly, if not daily basis. So what are the 3 things that should be in your calendar right now? If I were to literally go into your Gmail or whatever calendar you keep, I should see these 3 things, and you should see these in mine as well. The first one is solitude. You've got to daily step away and get to a place of quietness and solitude, away from the noise, away from the voices, away from the opinions, and you've got to take a nice 30 minutes to an hour in solitude. I do this 7 days a week, not 5 days, not 6 days, 7 days. I go into that quiet place. I'm going to tell you a few things that I do. The first one is gratitude. I go through my gratitude feeds each day because regardless of how difficult things get, there's always something that you can find in the day-to-day to go, you know what, today was shit, but I'm grateful for this. The second thing that I have in my time of solitude is making sure that I have the right type of input. So every time I'm in there, it might be Audible, it might be Blinkist, I just might be obviously opening up the Word and reading out of that. Whatever that looks like, there's got to be this right input in the moments of those solitude. And the last thing that you'll see in my Solitude as an example is I go over my goals every day. It is my anchor. There's a lot of things for me to get distracted on, particularly right now. There's a lot of things pulling for my attention, but every day I pull up the goals that I've set for myself and I keep myself focused on that. So number one in your calendar needs to be solitude. The second thing that we need to see in our calendar daily, if not weekly, is replenishment. This is important. In my schedule, you'll find a workout. You'll find in the evenings me going and doing something to unplug. I remember I had a professor that used to say this, I'll never forget it. He said, Chris, you've got to divert daily, you've got to withdraw weekly, and you've got to abort annually. And what he was saying in all those years of wisdom is you've got to take times to replenish at a very micro level daily by diverting, at a weekly level by a little bit more withdrawing, which I do. I withdraw on the weekends. And of course, at an annual level, you got to abort. So looking in your calendar, what are you doing for self-care to be able to replenish yourself? I think that's important. And the last thing that I believe should be in all of our calendars, particularly right now, you will see in mine, is counsel. Whether that's with a coach you're working with, mine right now is Terry Walling, so some of the wisdom I'm sharing has been wisdom that he's been giving me now over the last couple of months. It's also in community, which I think is important. You can't imagine how many Zoom calls, one-on-one calls, things I'm doing right now, because the worst thing I can do is isolate. The best thing I can do is to make sure that somebody's checking my thinking, that the ideas, directions that I'm deciding for my business are not made out of emotion, are not made out of any type of fear, anything along those lines, but they're being checked by a third-party person, counsel, that will say, Chris, that's the right direction, you're thinking right, you're leading right for your company, or Chris, you're not. So to summarize all this, if I could say it again, the three things that you should see on your calendar and mine is you definitely need to see solitude, you need to see replenishment, and the third thing is you need to see counsel. And to wrap it up, watch yourself, be highly self-aware of where you're at in those levels of burnout, because once you start touching level 3 and level 4, that's a dangerous place to be. So from my heart to your heart, we can talk wholesaling, real estate, I love that, but there's times when we need to talk about the stuff that matters most. And honestly, these are the conversations right now that will determine those of us who are waking up every day and having good days, getting stuff done, having a good mindset, smiling, having good energy, because we're thinking like this and being extremely proactive and extremely self-aware. So thanks for joining me today. I know there's value in this for you as there was me. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel to continue to get more great content. Thanks so much.